The world's biggest serial killer might never have been caught if he knew how to operate a computer. Imagine a man is committing serial killings who is also a friend of his victim. A well-known name in the city and a well-known doctor as well. This is an astonishing story. It's about Dr. Harold Shipman, who used his clinic in England not to save lives, but to take lives, in Hyde, a small town in England. The population was only 30,000. He lived for 27 years in a small town called Hyde. He continued serial killings right under everyone's nose, even after killing more than 250 people. Harold Shipman was not suspected and perhaps never would have been suspected if he had not made a small mistake. What was the reason for killing people? Why he was not caught for so long? And what clue did the police get that exposed the murder that had been going on for years in a single moment? Dr. Harold Shipman had its clinic in Hyde. The total population of Hyde was only 30,000, and Dr. Shipman's patients were about 3,000. He mostly targeted such patients who lived alone and were old enough for their deaths to be suspected. Dr. Shipman would give maximum time to those patients and would also go to their homes to lighten the burden on their heart. He would listen to them and make them realize that although they are alone, but Dr. Shipman was ever there for them. Some patients even trust Dr. Shipman so much that they even gave him the keys of their house. Because of this attitude, he became quite famous in Hyde, because people thought that Dr. Shipman was just treating old people through gossip. But under the guise of all this, the Dr. Shipman extracts information about who was alone at what time, who had how much wealth and property, who visited the house and where the relatives live. When Dr. Shipman was satisfied, he would kill his patient by giving him an overdose of medicine. Because those patients were already over 80 years old, no one would have suspected their death. This practice continued for many years. Forget about getting caught. No one even suspected him until he himself made a mistake. Dr. Shipman started his career 70 kilometers away from Hyde in a town called Pontefract, where he worked in a hospital. In 1974, he left Pontefract and moved to Todmorden, where he became a general practitioner at Abraham and Morden Medical Center. He got employed as a practitioner, and during his job, he started giving an excessive quantity of Pathenu to some patients. Pathenu is essentially a painkiller, but it is a highly addictive medicine, and Dr. Shipman was addicted to Pathen, and he deliberately prescribed it to his patients. Some dose of medicine he gave to his patients, while more dose he used for himself. Even though patients do not need this, but patients felt very good after taking this medicine, whereas in reality they were unaware they were taking drugs. This was the reason that the patients of the Shipman were attracted towards him despite their unwillingness. After being caught, the hospital administration fired Dr. Shipman. The matter led to the cancellation of his license, but Shipman paid £600 fine and admitted himself in rehabilitation center, which escaped having his license revoked after spending only a short time at the center. When everyone forgot him, he returned to Hyde in 1977, where he became a general practitioner at the Donnybrook Medical Center. In 1980, he continued to practice as a general practitioner, but in the meantime, he neither gave up drugs nor the opportunity to hunt down and murder elderly patients. But the frequency of these murders increased significantly from 1993 when he opened his own clinic in Hyde and established a good name for himself in the town. Things continued like this for the next several years and no one suspected the doctor's actions. The first time it happened was in March 1998 when Dr. Linda Reynolds, who worked at the Brook Surgery, which was another hospital opposite Shipman's clinic. She expressed concern over the high mortality rate among Shipman's patients, saying that the Shipman, who runs a small clinic, has seen 16 patients die in the last 3 months, while during the same period the Brook Surgery, who has 3 times as many patients as Shipman's clinic, has only 14 patient deaths. The situation worsened when it was revealed that all 16 of Dr. Shipman's patients were not buried but cremated after their deaths. Let me tell you here that most Christians bury their loved ones after their death. Only a few people decide to cremate. Then Dr. Linda expressed her suspicions to the Manchester coroner in the form of a report which contained all these details. It was also written that among these 16 patients of Dr. Shipman, most of them were old women who were found dead in their homes, and every time. It cannot be a coincidence that at the time of death of most of these patients, the doctor was in their house with them. According to Dr. Linda, many of the people die in bed, but Dr. Shipman's patients died strangely, sitting on a chair, well-dressed. At that time, either Dr. Shipman was present at his house, or he went there for the first time and found the patient dead, which was not normal at all. An investigation was also conducted based on this report, but the police could not find any concrete evidence against Dr. Shipman, and the investigation was closed. After a month, when Dr. Shipman's patients died, he would have signed Form B himself. Form B is the form which the doctor treating the patient has to sign, in which he writes the cause of death of the patient. But the issue was that Form C, which has to be signed by the other doctor also. In most cases, the Shipman was signed by friends, doctors, or people who did not suspect it. This way, Shipman could write fake information in the death certificates of the patients and send them for cremation by writing false information on their death certificates without any hesitation, and no one would suspect anything. Due to this process, many deaths remained uninvestigated, and this was the reason why Shipman could easily escape his murder. After the investigation was closed, the Shipman killed 3 more people, but he was not still far from being caught. Shipman's last victim was 81-year-old Kathleen, the former mayor of Hyde. She died on 24 June 1998 in her home, and here too, Dr. Shipman was her last man who last time saw Kathleen alive. Later signed her death certificate, which listed her cause of death as old age. Kathleen's daughter, Angela Woodruff, was a lawyer herself, who was forced to file a complaint against her mother's insistent death. But she became suspicious when she found a will of his mother, in which she had left her house in the name of Dr. Shipman. He was very close to that family, and the fact that he got the house in the will did not become the basis for suspicion. But Angela was suspicious about the fact that his mother owned 2 houses, but the will mentions only 1 house, indicating that the will was written by someone else who were unaware of the other house. And it was Dr. Shipman. Angela Woodruff went to the police. An investigation was launched. Kathleen Grundy's body was exhumed and sent for autopsy. It was discovered that high traces of diamorphine, or heroin, were found in her body. When the police questioned Dr. Shipman, he said that Kathleen was a heroin addict and that he had written this on his computer before treating her. He had recently started making entries in a computerized medical journal, but was unaware that the entry he has entered the date before the death, but the last edit date of that file gets saved automatically in the computer. When the police examined the entries in that computer, it was found that Shipman made these entries after Kathleen's death. But this wasn't enough to arrest him. The police also found the typewriter he used to write the false will. This was discovered when some characters were missing from Shipman's typewriter, and the same characters were missing from Kathleen's will. On 7 September 1998, police arrested Hyde's well-known doctor, Harold Shipman. But when this matter became public, those whose loved ones had been killed by the Shipman earlier, they had doubts, but they were unable to raise their voices against the city's renowned doctor. The police also investigated 15 other patients who had died some time ago. A specific pattern was observed in all these cases in which the patient was given a lethal dose of diamorphine. He would sign their death certificates himself, write old age as the cause of death, and even advise on cremation. This was done so that all evidence would be destroyed after burning. During the Shipman inquiry, the cases of all the patients who had been exposed to Shipman were re-examined. The inquiry team examined all the documents, including death certificates and medical records, that belonged to the Shipman. Furthermore, besides interviewing the families of those whose relatives were Shipman's patient, and some bodies were exhumed and forensic post-mortem was also conducted. This process was very detailed, and during the investigation, It was found that Shipman had treated a total of 218 patients from 1975 till his arrest. It is a confirmed number that murder has been committed. But in many cases, due to lack of evidence, they were not confirmed. It is an estimate that the number could reach 260. The court has convicted Shipman for 15 deaths, but in 2004, he hanged himself by tying a bedsheet to the bars of the prison cell. After his death, one of his prison mates surprisingly revealed that he did not kill 260 but 508 people. He had committed murder, and this was told to him by Shipman himself. But Shipman had committed so many murders. The real reason behind this could not be revealed till date. Some people call it psycho, some call it a way to earn money, and some call it the effects the death of his mother. Because his mother, who was a cancer patient, was given morphine as a painkiller. Experts believe that perhaps Shipman wanted to see his patients die by giving them morphine. In the same way, I hope you enjoyed this video as well. Please don't forget to like and share. Subscribe to the Untold One channel. Thank you so much for your loving comments. See you in the next great video.